Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Esports Money, ZSM Mac 10, whatever you want to call me, and welcome to another video. You're probably wondering where the jungling guides are. I will be probably putting out a couple later this week. However, my plans for the week are dominated by actual work, and of course, Doom is coming out for VR this Friday, so you'll be seeing some content related to that. And then on the 12th, which is not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, we will be getting Fallout 4 VR, and I will be streaming the living daylights out of that, and I will also be doing videos on how to do that with an Oculus Rift, because it is, of course, not being released natively for the Rift, it's being released for the Vive. So, if you're here, you're probably wondering what all of this is about. What is the dealio, and what am I so excited about? So, this is the AMD FX-8320E Black Edition. This is an 8-core CPU that runs at 4 GHz. Yes, the IPC, or the instructions per clock, or what 1 GHz is equal to. It's essentially the same thing as having a 2.5 GHz Intel processor from 2015. Maybe 2014. With 2.7, 2.8 GHz, something like that, because the IPC is so bad. But it's got 8 flippin' cores. So the overall amount of power that you get out of the CPU is very, very high, especially in multi-threaded applications. If you go back and look at my YouTube channel, anything that was made before March of this year was made on this CPU. I paid $180 for, not the 8320, but the 8350, which is the same chip, just clock slightly higher. I paid $180 for that chip, just the chip without the motherboard, and that's what I've produced all of my content on for years. And now you can get this guy for not just 89 bucks. It comes with a freaking motherboard. It comes with a motherboard. So I have this old rig I've been putting together, trying to make something mobile, something that I can do VR with on the go. Granted, I grabbed the GPU out of my main rig, and I have some DDR3 RAM sitting around. That's the big kicker here, because if you have DDR4 RAM, then just spend $150 and get a CPU motherboard combo from Micro Center with a Ryzen 3 or low-end Ryzen 5 and spend $200. But with this combo, you're getting an 8-core CPU that is honestly, this CPU gets trash talked a lot, and the 4 and 6 core variants of it are literal garbage. But at 8 cores, in things that can actually leverage more than 4 cores, that's a killer deal. And Dota 2's Vulkan is something that leverages all of those cores. So specifically, if you're a Dota guy, buy this shit. If you're dealing with something if you're dealing with a 5-year-old computer and you only want to do Dota stuff, buy this thing. Just buy this thing. It's sick. It's awesome. For $90 for the 2 of these. I will say, only buy this if you have RAM that you can put in it. It has 4. It's an mATX board. So this is a tiny motherboard, but it has 4 RAM slots, and it will allow you to move up to a gig of your DDR3 RAM into dedicated graphics RAM. So what I'm going to do is, I have a 1080p monitor, a brand new 1080p IPS monitor at 60 Hz. It's beautiful, lovely, all that stuff. I'm going to download Dota 2 and put it on the solid state that's in this rig. I built this last night, so it only took me a few minutes. It was actually pretty easy just to swap the motherboards out of this case. And everything runs fine, but I don't have a dedicated GPU in it. So what I'm going to do for y'all is, I'm going to try to install Dota on it. Well, I'm going to install Dota on it successfully, because I know I can run VR off of it. I know I can do Dota off of it. And I'm going to see what my benchmarks look like running in Vulkan off of the GPU that is built into this motherboard, and I'll get back to you guys in another video about that. But in the meantime, if you have any video card that's got at least 2 gigs of DDR5 RAM in it, or GDDR5 RAM in it, if you got any video card like that, and you have any RAM sitting around, this is a killer deal. This is a monster of a deal. It's so good. So, you can get the deal at Micro Center. I will put this link in the video description, and I'll feel free to ask me questions about it. I drove to a physical location, and one of the things about Micro Center is they typically sell everything at MSRP or lower, and they also give you a $30 flat discount for bundling a CPU and a MOBO, and if the total price exceeds, I want to say $200, then they up that discount to $50. So I paid $110 for these two parts, plus I got a $15 USB 3.0 port that fits in a 5¼ inch drive bay in the front of this tower, and I have $40 in mail-in rebates. So after mail-in rebates, these two together are like $50. Like 50 freaking bucks for an 8-core FX CPU and an mATX board. No, this isn't the newest thing in town. Yes, it only uses DDR3. It's end of life. It's going out of style. But this MOBO has integrated graphics, so you can run it if you don't have a GPU, if you're waiting to get a GPU. Yes, it uses DDR3, which is great because RAM prices are through the roof right now. It uses, I believe should use SATA 6 gig. I mean, it's got a gigabit LAN built in. It's got gigabit LAN built into it, and it's got USB 3.0 ports. It's got 2 built into the back of it, and then it also has a front panel connector for USB 3.0. So I do a lot with retro hardware and tinkering with retro hardware. This thing isn't exactly retro hardware. It's new enough. It's got, let me see what other things it's got that might be relevant. So, I mean, the onboard graphics is HDMI, DVI, or VGA. Chipset is, I mean, it's an older chipset, but it does support DDR3 overclock to 2000 megahertz, which is better than the old Phenom motherboard I was tinkering with last week. Realtek onboard audio. It has LAN. It doesn't have Wi-Fi, so you will need to buy a Wi-Fi stick or PCI card. It has a PCI Express. It has 2 PCI Express 2.0 slots and a single 1.0 slot. There's SATA 3 GB per second, so you will be making a pretty significant concession on the SATA 3 GB per second slots, but hey, I mean, I'm throwing an old SSD in here that's not going to hit the cap of SATA anyway. And if you want, you can just take the PCI 1X slot and throw a freaking NVMe card in it. Like, it'd be fine. I think that's it. And I mean, God, this thing's so old. It's got Windows 7 ready stamped on it. But really, guys, this is a killer deal. If you have a power supply, if you have the RAM, really, it's just the fact that it comes down to RAM. Because I didn't have to buy RAM, I basically spent $100 for a brand new PC to use as my portable rig. So this is the dealio, and if you're a Dota guy, this is the king dealio. I mean, if you have any kind of dedicated GPU, this is a killer, and I will get you guys benchmarks on what this looks like. That was my email noise. I will get you guys benchmarks on what this guy looks like with the onboard graphics playing Dota 2. So I will talk to you guys soon.